What up? Welcome to Homegrown Hustle, where local brilliance takes the center stage. I'm your host, Matt Eickman. Join us every week in celebrating innovation, guidance, and the power to inspire greatness. Let's explore the stories that shape our local business landscape, and together, let's ignite the spark of excellence. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Homegrown Hustle. I'm your host, Matt Eickman. I got a table full of killers here. There were a couple of white monsters on the table too, but those have since been crushed. So we got a couple guests. We're going to go through some intro, but then we're going to dive into talking about vision and intentional culture creation. These guys have organizations at different stages, but the thought processes that they're putting into their current business growth, there's a lot of intent there and a lot of lessons learned along the way. Although you're all pretty young guys, I would say the early lessons and the years of knowledge at this table, I think there's going to be a really good episode here. So first of all, thanks everybody for coming on. You guys have all met Wes Nichols before. He's the CEO over at ProTree Outdoor Services. One of my good friends and an absolute awesome human being. Wes, I'm going to let you intro these two other gentlemen we have at the table, just because I want to give you a little freedom here. So
I appreciate that. I'm excited to be here, Matt. We're joined. Well, and first of all, I think we've all known each other for like over a decade and watched each other grow and scale our companies from very small to really powerful machines now. Mike took one and had to tear it down and build it back up, which is even crazier. But to my left, we have Joe Uran with Nordic Waste and Snow, formerly CNC Lawns, and then Mike Lindstrom with Lindstrom Restoration, and Matt with Abracadabra. I call him the Bug Man, but
Bug Man. We're a team of Bug Men now.
Yeah.
But I'll still wear that title with pride. So Mike, you took over a family-run business. How long's the company been in business now?
76 years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
that's
My kid would make a 6'7" joke there.
I know, right?
So why don't you talk a little bit about your business and kind of when you took over ownership, and then we can pass it over to Joe, just so the audience can kind of get a little bit of understanding of who's all sitting here at the table, and then we can dive into the culture and all that fun stuff.
Sure.
Sound like a plan, guys?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Nice.
Sounds like an awesome plan, yeah.
Sweet. Kick it off, Mike.
All right. Mike Lindstrom, thanks for having me out here, Matt. I really appreciate the opportunity, and it's good to be in a room full of friends that we go back to like BNI and the early days of just trying to build a first go network, right? And figure things out and give 10-minute commercials. And now we're on a podcast.
60-second commercials.
60-second commercials. Okay. Yeah. And like stressed out about doing that, right? It's awesome. So seriously, I've been doing restoration 20 years, started as a cleaner, et cetera. And our company's been around 76, if not more. I started at a kitchen table, right, as a janitorial business. So at one point we were the largest janitorial company in the state of Minnesota. And then people started asking us to fix stuff. So we'd be cleaning like the Carlson Towers, or we'd be cleaning the Fauché Towers, doing third shift janitorial stuff. And they'd have a flood or a fire. And they're like, can you guys clean this up? It's like, okay, yeah, sure. Then they started asking if we could fix it. And we're like, no, we're a janitorial company. So then we started bringing in tradespeople to help us fix things as subs or whatever. And then in the 60s, they started asking us so much, we actually partnered with a company. And that's where in 61, we were incorporated as what we are now, which is Lindstrom Cleaning and Construction. And from 61 to today, we've become almost 80%, if not 90% construction. And like the smallest part of our business is cleaning, and we do no janitorial. So it's just the evolutions of business and what you become and chasing shiny things and whatever. It's a constant, like Who Moved the Cheese? I don't know if you guys ever read that business book. It's super simple, but it's kind of funny, like as opportunities shift. So my role has been kind of fix what we lost in the second generation. So I took us from a $20 million business operating in regionally, so Minnesota, North Dakota, South Dakota, Iowa, Wisconsin, Texas, Louisiana, and Florida, to just Minnesota, to 60 miles to 35 miles, which is all we operate in now.
So you got like laser focused, miss small.
Yeah. So now I took us from 20 million down to 6 million, half the team, if not a quarter of the team. And then we built back. So now we're at about 52 employees, 13 million. And we do all that in 35 miles. And we used to do that nationally, like a little bit more, but we made no money. It was like, it was all top line and no net.
Running after all those shiny things, like when you're like taking on new things, as we all know as entrepreneurs, like innovation and like that visionary role, like part of it is coming up with those new things. But sometimes you gotta
focus.
The business has to be profitable, right? Like at the end of the day. All right, so that's a little intro. How about you, Joe?
Yeah, so I'm Joe Uran with, we refer to it as Nordic companies. It's kind of a group of companies, but today we have three main divisions. So we have a waste division, primarily roll-off dumpsters, providing dumpster services to the construction industry. We have a commercial snow division, which provides commercial snow removal services throughout the metro. And we have a demolition excavation division, which is growing. But again, to the builders and contractors we were working with, similar story to Mike, we were servicing them in a different avenue. And they said, well, if you're hauling the debris away, can you do the demo work? Because we're busy. And we with our equipment background from the snow side and landscape industry, that made sense. So quick further back, I'm a business partner, 50-50 business partner with a guy named Chris. We've been in some version of business together for over 20 years at this point, which is kind of crazy. I started in lawn care. A lot of people do that. It's kind of easy entry. And we did that for a long time, into landscaping, irrigation, more site services. In 2020, we became snow only, and that's when the waste side started and the demos kind of pushed in the last year or two. But it's a little bit how we got here. As Mike said, I am the chasing shiny objects person.
Same.
Chris is the focused person, right? So in the EOS world, like we use, I'm the visionary, he's the integrator. So I'm the 1,000 ideas, he's the, you need to get rid of all of those and go after one. So it's been a great balance. We were naturally in those roles before we knew those roles existed. So we just kind of got lucky. Business partners are hard. So we got lucky, I guess, in that sense that we balance each other really well.
That's good. You're not related or anything like that?
No, but I'm more, at this point, I'm more tied to him legally and financially than probably my family, it seems. So it is a very interesting dynamic.
Yeah. But that, I mean, we're talking earlier, having two owners involved in the commitment and like legitimate ownership of all the inputs. I don't care how much you want to brag up an employee, like nobody that works at an organization can really quite care about it as much as we do, right? It's ours, and we want to get them close to it being like them owning their role and all the different results and inputs. But when you've got two guys leading the charge and working well together, like you can get a lot of results there and not have to bring in all that other infrastructure, right?
For sure. I mean, like, so a lot of people with their employees, you think like, I want my employees to take more ownership, right? It's easier said, it's much harder to create. Yeah. If you are the owner, it's naturally created. And uniquely, when you're the owner, if you buy a business or you come into an ownership level of an established business, you have an ownership sense. But when you build it, I mean, Chris and I built it from zero, like absolute zero. You know, we couldn't afford like poster signs to put in yards to advertise when we started, right? I remember like $100 was a lot of money to spend. So when you bring it up from zero, you have like a next level feeling of ownership that like we're so committed to this thing at this point because it's kind of like raising a child, right?
It's
just like it's your baby,
it.
Right? Like this thing cannot fail. And it's not even from like a financial standpoint. It's like, it's a pride and ego. Like I've put so much time and energy into this thing, you know, kind of the blood, sweat, tears, like I need it to work. So it's a huge advantage from that standpoint, but it also, you have two people with that much ownership, which there's a multiplier level. So we were probably able to do the work of 3 or 4 people, but then you also hit a plateau or a ceiling, and it's a little harder. Ownership typically has a hard time letting go when they have 2 people that have a little bit harder time letting go. So it's harder to get that first level of leadership in and, you know, management. And that's a place we really plateaued and stayed for a long time and have now kind of broken through that ceiling finally. And we're seeing pretty rapid growth because of it.
Yeah. And Wes, I know you went through a little bit of that the last few years. You just hired like 6 people or something, all starting on the same day. You're crazy, I feel like. But that talks a little bit to the success you've had with building that structure and the culture. I know you've had a lot of focus on bringing Traction and EOS into your business, but like you're committed to your team and they're super bought in, like the leadership team that you've got in place. You want to talk a little bit about how that change has really impacted your ability to to operate your business and grow it?
Yeah, I mean, I want to say that the longer and longer I do this, the more we realize that the biggest issues that you face in an organization are having the right structure and the right people. Like,
Period.
most of the time, all your problems tie back to structure and people.
Yeah.
If you have the right structure and you have the right people, like everything else just kind of figures itself out. So spending a lot of time being very intentional about like what is the right structure that we need right now to get the company, you know, the next 6 to 12 months down the road. And then really asking yourself, like, do we have the right people to put in those seats? And having open and honest conversations with your team right now, like, you're in the seat, you're doing it, you're not doing it. If you're not doing it, we got to find somebody else because it's for the greater good of the organization.
Well, and the understanding of the future of that seat and what that looks like as your company's progressing, like that's difficult for some people to really understand. Like they might get it at the level you're at in 2 to 3 months, but now your company's grown and that role has evolved as well.
Correct. And also like looking at issues and problems differently. Like we're all problem solvers. Like any issue could come up within our organization. I'm sure that we have a solution for it.
I sometimes make problems just so I can solve them.
Yeah. But like really taking that mindset and be like, okay, what is the issue here? Is the problem with our invoicing? Is it, you know, that just we're not invoicing fast enough or whatever? Or is it like, hey, we don't have the right structure in place. We don't have the right person that owns that in that seat, or they maybe don't understand what it really means to own that. Once you start looking at it that way, that you can really start to nail down that structure and then really focus in on those people. And then you put the right people in there and it's just like problem solved.
Was there like a moment that you had when you figured all that out?
It's just a lot of conversations of like, okay, we have this, you know, we are by no means like a perfect company. We have a lot of issues. Every company does.
I mean, find me a perfect company.
Yeah.
It doesn't exist.
No.
Like we all want it to look perfect from the outside looking in because, I mean, customers, like we need them. But at the same time, when we're trying to build people in an organization and all the systems and processes, if we don't talk about the stuff that's not going well, it's really hard to grow and improve when you're just looking at all the things that you do well. Within the organizations that you guys all have, like you're all growing and you're at different stages. And at Abracadabra, I know one thing we're going through is our leaders being able to identify and proactively solve problems and do that without bringing the culture down, right? Because sometimes when you find a problem, that means somebody messed up or there's issue that we need to talk about. But that doesn't mean it's a bad thing unless you have a culture where that trust hasn't really been developed. And we've had to build that over time. So you got a big company. You got like 40, 50 some people. You just hired a half dozen. Where you at now?
I have to count regularly.
Same. Yeah.
The only way I can count is going to my Slack channel, and
Yeah.
I'm sure there's a better
What
way
do you think
to do
it's
it.
at?
We care about all of them.
I think we broke 30 this week.
Nice,
Yeah,
man.
that's awesome. And then you're about a dozen now, but very different business.
Yep.
Yours is really based off the vehicles that you have to move stuff, right?
Correct.
I don't know any other business owners that own as many dumpsters as you do, though.
I mean, we own a lot of, we're a super capital intensive business. We have a lot of assets. And our goal is not necessarily for people to generate revenue, but for equipment, trucks, for machines to generate revenue, and then the people to operate them, if that makes sense. But
For sure.
yeah, we have 12 full-time people. And then in the winter, it's seasonal, right? It's Minnesota. We only have snow. I mean, we have a lot of snow compared to most, but we only have snow for 5 months. So we bring in anywhere from 20 to 35 people seasonally, but they're seasonal and it's very part-time work only
That's
when
a
it
gnarly
snows.
onboarding
So
process.
it's very
there,
complicated to not have a full-time staff.
So when we had that little technical difficulty, you said you got people with 10, 20, 30-year anniversaries at your company. That's awesome.
Yeah.
That means you're doing quite a few things right. And you're taking care of your people, right? That sounds like
Yeah.
a really healthy company. Wouldn't you guys agree?
Absolutely.
Like when we have people come in and go out, I'm like, what did we do wrong? Right? Maybe it's the person just didn't want to do it or whatever. But as the business owner, I'm always looking at how how could we have done this differently and maybe had a different result? So how do you get to that result? Because that's hashtag goals for me.
Okay. It is about having an intentional culture. So doing the work to have a vision, core values, etc. That's like basic dude stuff. As a company, you need to have that dialed in, and that helps you control the shiny thing stuff. It's like, no, this is our path. This is what we're for. And then those core values help you really just unlock and make decision-making, hard decision-making, people decisions, etc. a lot easier, right? From there, it's the org chart, which we call an accountability chart if you're doing traction, etc. And like really actually defining seats out, and not just thinking about the right now need. It's like, where does that go? How does it grow? Who does it report to? Like, I do a ton of work on the front side before I hire somebody to really define out who the ideal candidate is, what their cultural fit's going to be, what they're into, what they're not into, etc. before I ever put a posting out. And then when they're in, it's like everybody needs to have that clarity of where they're going. So like you meet with them regularly. I used to run quarterly conversations with the whole company myself when we were at 40. Dude, it was nuts. Every 90 days I had breakfast with every single person in my company.
So by the time you
It was wild.
started
I would
doing
end.
your quarter count,
Yes.
you would finish and
And
then
start
you would
over.
just start the quarterly
Right.
conversation.
But the new guy,
But then you could just have a set meeting at least. So like,
Yeah.
was it the same place every time?
Dude, we
I would
did
show-
Fat Nats a lot. We did some
For
other things.
sure.
And Melissa, who had her tenure, did a lot of them with me back then. And she's like, she still hates breakfast. Like she still hates eggs from that experience. I usually just drank coffee and like ate up the
You
conversation
made
more
her
so.
start to hate eggs
Dude, she hates
because she
breakfast
met
now.
with you.
Yeah. And I'm sorry.
She
But it
didn't
was
quit.
super good experience, and realized like we didn't talk about like your wage. We didn't talk about money. We talked about like what's working, what's not. Do you feel fulfilled? Is this the culture that we said it was? Are we walking the talk?
So you're getting feedback from
We created these two-way streets. So like what's difficult about new managers coming into our company from other places is like my people are empowered as hell, and they'll tell you like that shit's not going, oh, pardon me. They'll tell you that stuff's not going well. And that's uncomfortable for people coming in that aren't used to that directness and that honesty. But because they feel empowered, like when things aren't going right, I hear about it.
Yeah, let's not tiptoe around people's
Yeah.
feelings to solve. I hate that crap, man.
It's
Like-
Minnesota. Like Minnesota nice, passive aggressiveness. It like you gotta try and develop a culture that doesn't have that.
My big takeaway with quarterly conversations is both you and your report should walk away from that meeting knowing with full transparency and clarity, A, whether or not they're executing on their individual roles that they're accountable for, because they may or they may not be. And you and them need to know that. Like you said, you can't tiptoe around it. It's like, this is what you're accountable
like
for.
Sorta, maybe, kinda.
Yeah, no,
None of
this is
that.
what you're accountable for. Are you doing it or are you
Yeah.
not?
So sorry, go ahead. I'll let you
And
finish.
then the other thing is like, how are you seeing them show up and exemplify your company's core values?
Yeah.
And that is, roles are easy. Roles are easy to like, you're doing this, you're not.
Yeah.
The hard part is like, hey, how am I seeing you exemplify these core values? Because that is, the core values are huge. If we, I think a lot of us in this room share similar core values. They're probably not the same core values that we have at our individual organizations, but like the reason we have bonded and connected over the years is because there's some core values that we align and all share. And that's why we get along.
Mhm.
And if you don't share the core values within your organization, you're just going to butt heads. And it's not that like,
there's the alignment's not there.
yeah.
So I want to ask a question. So you're talking about these meetings, like, are you doing your job? Are you not? I know for us, for a while there, like, I didn't even know what the hell their job was and what it was supposed to look like because we were growing so quickly. So they're in this role where they have things they're responsible for. But I also didn't quite know where to have an expectation for them because I've never run a organization at that level that we're at. I don't even know what to define the line as. Did you ever go through that type of defining of the role? Or
Yeah.
did EOS just...
No,
wave
yeah.
a-
EOS is big on like, you got to get that part figured out first. You know,
we got to
structure
get
first.
our freaking deal figured out for all the EOS memberships that we're selling from this podcast.
I know, right?
For sure.
Yeah, should we just start a rule right now? No more saying EOS, because they're not paying us anything. They should.
No more of that thing.
Well, Mike, has anyone else taken a different journey in developing a leadership system for your company or a structure?
We use a lot of EOS type of structure, but we never actually went through that whole process.
Yeah.
So we really I had to practice a lot of patience and spend time and money and allow our leadership team, who's really young, to learn and develop.
And fail.
A lot of
know it's okay.
Well, and as we went into it, we talked about like, this is a journey that we're going on, right? I gave them some freedoms for goal setting for the organization and kind of let them run with it and learn along the way. But we've invested a lot in coaching, best in the industry. That's provided a lot of support and additional confidence for the young leadership. Because like for me, I think I could kind of know what that role at the size company we're at should do, but I'm not the expert in that space. There's people that we can go out and spend some money and invest in that people or in those people so that they can develop their skill sets and grow. That took a long time.
Yeah.
It did. But the strength that our team has right now, like, I'm really, really excited. But the EOS was always kind of, I feel like it takes so much focus away from what you have to do to keep
Every
your
day.
company running. Like, we got to do services. We got to make sure all this is running. Like, so for where we were at, I just didn't see it as the right fit. And we've been able to develop it over time and still scale
It
the
is
team really
super
well.
labor intensive and like takes a lot of time and a lot of money. And
We're still talking
nobody
about
ever
it,
told
right?
me. Yeah, I know.
I think that for us, maybe not a unique perspective, but I can relate to what you said, Matt. But like we were in versions of business for, let's say 15 plus years, to the point of like our structure and culture, our culture was do what needs to be done today, right? Because that's just how the business operated. Very
Right in front of you.
Yeah,
Yep.
I don't want to call it organized chaos because it wasn't very organized. It was
Chaos.
solve today's problems, right? Put fires out. And what EOS brought to, we're talking about, but like what the structure that it gave us, right? Like somebody had mentioned some things to me. Anyway, so we sat down. We're about 18 months into it. So the biggest thing for us wasn't, as you talk, like some of these programs, these operating system programs, they get you like really into the Kool-Aid, right? You got to follow their systems like to
It's
a
like
T.
CrossFit.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, people that do EOS, they do it because they tell you about it. Same as CrossFit, right? You know somebody does CrossFit because they told you. So, like, the big thing for us was the first like 90 to 180 days where you lay out what is your accountability chart. That's critical, right? What are your core values? What are your goals as a company? Simply to create that shared vision. That I think is the most impactful. So I don't think somebody needs to go wholesale into an operating system or hire a person to implement it. But I think what you do need is just find those basic tools that they do try to implement.
The structure for the company as far as meetings and cadences, the clarity for what the expectation is in roles and where the lines are drawn for people's lanes that they should stay in. And really, I think a big thing I see that EOS and Traction creates for the business owner is a better understanding of the direction of the organization. Because now, and correct me if I'm wrong here, but some of the things that they were thinking about before, because there was a little bit of chaos or disorganization, they no longer have to think about that because they've cleared it up and they can be more clear-minded when they're doing their job.
Yeah, I mean, you've said clear like 3 times, and I think clarity is what that's all about. And
What's
like,
another
if you
word
don't
for
do anything else in Traction, and like you do Traction Light, which is honestly what we do, the like, when did we start this? 7, 8 years ago was the first time we implemented Traction. Gosh, maybe it was longer. We'll say 10. And like, old business already had a culture, had a brand, had an identity, but like it wasn't defined and it wasn't really clear. We're in multiple states. We're doing roofing, exteriors,
And you weren't
restoration.
making any money,
We weren't
too.
making any money, right? Because we're so diluted. And ultimately, the exercise that like I love about Traction, that if you're not going to do anything else, it's that vision traction organizer. figuring out what's your core values, what's your vision, what's your niche, all of these things, like what makes you special, what are your 3 uniques, and then from there rolling out your accountability chart. Like if you don't do anything else, just do those.
Yeah, I think it helps because I think one of the traps that owners fall into is that they know what they want and where they're going. So they assume that all the people in the organization know what they want and where they're going. And if you don't share that, and your VTO in that system gives you a really good visual to share with the company. I think for a long time, we mostly knew where we were going and what we wanted to do. And we kind of just assumed the people that work there, well, you must know what we're doing too, because you work here.
Yeah. And you communicate with them often enough, and maybe it's come up in conversation.
You think you do, but I think you get stuck in this trap that you don't. And that without being very deliberate on sitting down and sharing what are the company's goals, where is the company going, I think your employees get, I don't want to say they get lost. They just don't know.
Well, they want to know what their future is too, right? Otherwise, they're just showing up to the warehouse every day to work.
It's like your Rosetta Stone. It's like a cultural artifact. The culture is just up in the cloud, right? It's like you got to download it, and that gives you that cipher, that key, that whatever for your team, just to be like, okay, this is what Joe means when he says we're buying 3 new trucks and 40 boxes, right? It's like, it's because this is on the VTO, and this is where we're growing. I thought we were a snow removal company, says the new guy, right? Who came from snow into that. And it's like, no, man, this is who we are. Check this out.
I mean, we have a 10-year employee. He just celebrated 10 years. Shout out to Dan, and thanks to Dan for
what up, Dan?
Dan's the man.
I mean, we have evolved. Dan started with us over 10 years ago as a fertilizer tech. He then helped with irrigation, helped with lawn. I mean, he has done everything inside of our company.
He's just a ride or die with you.
Basically, right? And like, I don't know why, but like, credit to him for sticking it out. Cause like, I mean, just being honest, the first 5, 6, 7 years of his employment, it was just Dan showed up every day and worked with whatever it was that we had to do.
There's so much value in that though. And the trust you build over time, like you can probably trust Dan with more stuff than
I do. And I mean, knows a lot about our company, and now he has a very defined role, right? But like that took us a long time to build. Like, embarrassingly, it took us a long time to build, right? But I think that's a trap that owners get in, is that they're
such a hurry.
There's some chasing shiny object, chasing growth, chasing opportunity, that you just think that all these people that are following you are chasing the same thing or following the same thing, but you never share, like, this is why we're doing it.
So, Wes, do you want to talk about how you communicated vision to your team shifted? We're done talking about EOS, but just talk how it's evolved over time, and maybe like what you were thinking about before and communicating that with Tanner and the rest of your leaders, and like how you currently communicate vision, because it's like vision, culture, that's all kind of woven into one, and everything ties back to the core values. But communicating vision, like that's our job, right? As the leaders.
That has changed a lot. I mean, before it was just like, we're trying to make enough money to buy this next truck.
Yeah,
or like, we're trying to hit this revenue target by the end of the year. And it's like, what does that mean to everybody else?
It's a disconnect.
Yeah. And now, we still talk about revenue. We still talk about profit, but it's like, okay, what are we going to be able to do with it? Last year we do employee engagement surveys every year. And we talk about our vision that we're trying to become. We want to be a destination workplace, a place that people want to come, they get out of bed excited with a smile on their face every morning. They want to come be a part of it. And we've done a lot of work on that already. And we have a lot of people that show up with a smile on their face and they want to be a part of that, what we're doing every day. But there's still a long ways to go. But like, we do these employee engagement surveys every year. And so the biggest takeaway that we got from our last one was that our benefits package wasn't as good as we want it to be. So we're like, we throw it on the VTO. We're like, we're going to hit this revenue target. We're going to hit this profit target, all these other things, and we're going to improve our benefits. And everybody saw it, and everyone was behind it. And we went out there, we did the things, and then we rolled out our whole new benefits package at the beginning of this year. And it's like, we listened, we created focus around it, and we went and got it done. And that is cool. And that's what vision does. It focuses people's energy and gets everybody aligned and rowing in the same direction.
They can see like a longer tailed feedback loop as far as like your intent and trust building with them as employees. Because as young organizations, like sometimes you're bringing people in and they don't really know if you're still going to be in business. Like that's kind of the feel early on. But then when you're talking about that and you have the the feedback, the data, you discuss it, and then you go out and do it. Like those people are like, this guy says something and then does it, even if it takes
and
period of
going
time.
beyond just saying something and doing it. Like we listen to everybody that's involved.
That's so
and they're like,
important.
this is important to us. It's important to the company. Like, let's go ahead and figure it out and get it done. You know? So yeah, it does. Like I said, it used to be like, we're going to go hit this revenue target. We're going to do this many jobs. We're going to, do this, that, and the other, generate revenue. What does that mean for everybody else? And now the vision is like so much bigger. And Mike talked about like, yeah, you got to create a vision big enough that everybody else can see where they fit inside of it. So.
Yeah, I think clearly, I think it's Simon Sinek has, why do we, I'm going to say it wrong, but essentially why do we do what we do? It's a YouTube speech and it's really good. But ultimately, I think
TED
the hard,
Talk.
Yeah, but I think a unique thing about that, or the best thing about it is a lot of business owners, again, you're chasing revenue, you're chasing whatever it is. I want these people, this size, this growth, whatever it is. I'm chasing something. And you might know why, but really defining and sharing why with the team and then finding people that have that same why, right? There's a lot of great people out there that might not be the right people for your ship. They're great people. There's nothing wrong with that. They're just not the right people for your ship. And finding the right people that share the why that you're after or that you value is a critical part. And then once you find those people that are the right people for your ship, you're going out, like people talk about rowing in the same direction. Well, I want to go the same direction, but I don't want to just go the same direction. I want a really badass team rowing that direction. And the way to do that is define why we do what we do and then find people that believe in that same why. Easier said than done, right? That's where we thought we did that and realized I don't know if it's ego or what, or time or whatever it is, a reflection, but we didn't clearly define why we're doing what we're doing and share that with our people so that they can have the same ownership level of that concept. But it's a great TED Talk. If you haven't seen it, I would encourage it.
I've got Simon Sinek's book, Why, on my bookshelf. Yeah. TED Talk's good. I mean, I don't know if you guys read. I read redonkulously too much probably. And then I bring all my books to the office and they like disappear as different people read them, or like someone's going through a challenge. I'm like, here, like read this. It's like, this is where you're at right now. This will really help kind of thing. Right. But I don't even seek like revenue targets right now. Like people get the goals, like that's all defined. Like my number one, I guess, goal is like the feeling of harmony. It's like the feeling that like everybody feels they're having impact. They've got a voice, that this is like their dream is being fulfilled through this work. And I'm not there yet either. Like I've got it going in certain teams with certain leaders. And then what I'm realizing is like, I'm not the culture anymore. Like at my size, like I still do a lot of the culture keeping for the company and stand up and give all hands talks and get everybody jazzed up. Everybody thinks I'm great. Sure. Right. But it's like their direct managers are the ones that I got to figure out and like unlock their hug mode. And I've got
the touchy-feely side
yeah,
of
and
it.
I've got some that have figured it out and some that are still learning. And then I've got some that are struggling with it. And that's what we're working on, is like how to make them more vulnerable, more approachable, more real. Not just like, hey man, crush it every day. Look at these problems, look at these issues. And
so I've got a really good friend in the pest control space. She started like a leadership development type of like seminar series, but it's called Lead People Manage Stuff.
sure.
And I think for like the basis behind it is like those developing managers and leaders, like that understanding of the difference of what's a manager, what's a leader, what's it mean to the people, what's it mean for their job. Like that's hard, right? Because people don't want to be managed.
Not really.
They want to be trusted that they'll do the job, and they need to have a leader to kind of point them in the direction of what that job really is and what a good job looks like. So as you're talking about that, like just like being able to unlock that hug mode that you called it, which I love that. Like it's the EQ side of it. Like Wes, you've really tapped into your EQ in the last few years.
Yeah.
And I think that like that kind of points to like the development that we all kind of have to go through as business owners. And then as the company grows, people have to go through that as well. But pulling that out of them isn't always the easiest, most fun process for everybody, because sometimes we see it and we believe in people more than they believe in themselves and want to put in the effort. And that's hard for me, but I think we kind of all might do that. We like see more potential in people.
Oh, we're suckers for that. Yeah. Everybody we see, we're like, I mean, I think we all started pretty low on the totem pole, right? Like running a saw, driving a plow truck, or
I didn't even have a totem pole. I had to build I had to plant the tree to get to the totem part.
So it's like I often interview people at the same table I started at. And I'm like, I started on that side of the table. The only difference between where you're at now and where I'm sitting is time. And then your input, your effort, how many times you raise your hand and volunteer for a sucky job. You could potentially someday run this company, right? And it's like, it's the truth. But I think sometimes we see that to a fault, and then we get impatient. Because we see 100%. All of that potential, and it's like, oh, you're wasting your time, man. Like, come on, just like work harder, snap in. And it's like, got to be patient. And teaching your middle managers that got to their positions through usually being highly skilled at whatever specialized role they had, right? Now they're in hug mode and they're like, I don't have these skills. I don't want to talk to this guy that's crying because I gave him strong feedback.
That's huge. Is a lot of times we make the mistake of being like, you are the best individual contributor is what I call
manage the team.
Yeah, but are you a coach? Like, do you have the skill set to coach and manage? It's completely different, you know. And some people can go from that killer individual contributor to that coach or manager position, and some people can't. And individual contributors, we need them, and like they drive so much value within the organization. Not trying to undermine them, but that doesn't, just because you kill it at your job doesn't mean you can lead the team that is accountable for getting that done.
And we're both at fault for it. Like the individual contributor that's a total rock star thinks their next move is leadership. And we think their next move is leadership. And it's often wrong.
Because they can't get out of the truck sometimes.
Yeah, and then you lose your ultimately amazing contributor because you know they're going to be a terrible manager, but they feel like they got slighted or they got cut off on their growth path. So like you got to handle that super directly.
What you're talking about is like the Peter principle. Essentially, they've peaked in their ability to perform, and oftentimes because they're at the organization, they outgrow their abilities and can't fulfill the role that they're in. And not that whole scenario is tough, but like I ran into that in my organization before.
Sure. And as good leaders, when that happens, when somebody's peaked in where they at, and if you don't have another seat for them, if you're hanging on to that person that is capped out and like trying to grow and trying to do more, and you don't have, you're doing them and you're doing the organization a disfavor by doing that.
And you just created a toxic person because their attitude is going to change. Now they're going to be high skills. They're going to be a legacy member of your team, and their attitude's going to suck because the resentment's building and the tension's building, and they're not feeling fulfilled. And this new guy with the least amount or the less experience is now managing him. And now that guy's getting undermined. Directions get handed out from that person. This person's on site. It's just that toxicity builds. And like you, as a leader, as your middle manager, you got to go deal with that. And you got to either find a path for them, like you're saying, or you got to be like, it's time to get off the team.
Yeah, I think though the other side of it is somebody's with you for a long time. They kind of hit the peak of their production level. So you default, well, I need this manager, and you've got the most time in. So you think, well, time equates to skills or moving up. So you're like, well, you naturally should move to this role. So what you do is you take somebody that's a really good individual contributor, a really good skill set in a production level, and you say, well, naturally you're the head guy in this production level. You should be the manager of it. And to your point, Wes, that you brought up, we learn this internally, but like just because you're really good at your job doesn't mean you're good at managing the job. Uniquely, personally, myself and my business partner, he is far better than I am, but I am that person. I am really good at being the production in whatever spot I need to be in. But by default, I ended up in a management role, and that's not my skill set. Right? I didn't grow up
stuff you don't want to do.
Yeah, like ironically, you get into some of these businesses like an outdoor space to work outside, to build things and create, and then you end up in an office, which was the whole point, to not be in the office. Yeah. And then you have to learn a skill set, right? And by default, you can fire yourself. And I've done a pretty good job at getting myself out of the way. But it took a long time, and I would say ego, to say like, wait, I am not the right person for these decisions or for these steps or for these ideas, and I need to replace myself. I think the most important thing somebody can do is make yourself the least important person in your company. And that just took a long time. I was under kind of the firm belief, and I still have a lot of this belief, that if I'm going to ask somebody to do something, I need to be willing to do it and or know how to do it. That is true, but I think that's a trap. That really you should be hiring people that are good at what you're not good at, right? Replace yourself where you're weak and then stay where you're strong. And I think I just got stuck in the idea that like I can't ask somebody to do something or to lead something or to solve a problem or do a product or service unless I can do it as well or know how to do it. And then I spent a lot of time trying to develop that skill that I never had in the first place. And really I just wasted a lot of time. I should just got out of the way and put somebody in that seat. So it stalled growth, I would say, or kept us capped for a long time until we finally said, like, let's just bring people in to run these things and do it.
That's huge. And I think I want to try to better explain what you're trying to say, Joe. Is as a leader, you have to know yourself, know where do you truly drive the most value, and realistically, where are you probably just taking away from the company unintentionally? Like you're doing this thing because you're like, this has to get done. I can do it. But like, you doing it, you could go out and find somebody that could do it so much better than you.
Right. And I think also, like, as an owner, you also find yourself in the spot of like, I can help. And you believe you're helping. And in reality, if you asked all the people that you are helping, you're just not. You're not helping. You're actually slowing things down, and you're really in the way. And that's a weird, like,
It's an ego thing.
100% an ego thing. I had talked about this somewhere else, but I think until you have that self-reflective moment and you're willing to say like, wait, maybe I am the problem, and then really start to understand yourself. And uniquely, I think a lot of us starting businesses younger, you don't know who you are to begin with. And then you are evolving as a human, right? And growing personally. So you start out as like in your 20s and not a lot of direction maybe, right? That's how some of us end up in these spaces. And you're not really sure where you're going. And then you mature a little bit, or you have a family, right? That really, hard to say that family doesn't completely change you. So it gives you different guidance and different principles, and you learn a lot along the way. So, and with business being a child, you're doing the same thing. So as you're evolving as a human, you're trying to evolve as a leader, and it's a very complicated thing, but you have to sit down and have that self-reflection and say like, who am I and what am I good at? And how do I find the people to fill the gaps?
And like the number one unlock we had for trying to break that down for our middle managers this year, like I just got this right this year. This is not something I've figured out for a while. It's like eliminating shadow jobs. So if I'm trying to think of like, Wes, if you've got a tree care crew, like their on-site site supervisor or something like that, what's their title?
A crew lead.
Crew lead. So like a crew lead still like cuts, still climbs, still does stuff like that, or are they not allowed to do that?
They shouldn't be focused on those types of things.
Okay, they're not expected to do that. They'll like break fix in a challenge is what you're saying. Yeah. So like that's ideal. What you don't ever want to create is shadow jobs. And that's what I used to do all the time. So like if I had an estimating team, their whole job was estimating, the senior or the lead, the manager estimator was still estimating like a certain volume, right? And instead of being like, no, you only estimate exceptions. You only estimate like the freebies or like weird stuff. You don't actually have a section of our volume to produce.
Yeah, you're going to quality control.
Yeah, it's like your job is manage the team, lead the team, fix the problems, eliminate roadblocks, and stay out of that, because then they try to help. And they're always in it, and they're undermining, and they're end running their guys. And
Similar
it's like,
cycles.
It is. And
It's
like,
hard to find people that can do that well, though.
Yeah. But you got to like eliminate it with your intentional structure. And like I used to create a lot of shadow jobs on my org chart. The lead estimator would estimate. The lead project manager would still have a few projects, And I'm like, holy crap, I'm actually creating this suck them back into the field, into their, sweet spot or their specialist area.
I've never heard shadow job.
Shadow job, yeah.
But what you're describing is a real thing. But I've never heard
it. Is, right?
I've never heard
and
shadow job.
I literally like just came across this. I don't remember what I read. I came across this year, and I realized I had them all over the place. I realized I was doing it as a leader in certain places I was putting people. And I'd like hold on to things because it's my special.
So how did
I'm the difference maker.
So what did you change? How did you communicate that?
I made it a rule for creating seats that can't be a thing which then I ended up doing like a monster restructure of the company this spring. It's what I spent the entire first quarter on, and eliminated that, and then there had to be hard and fast rules about like this, when this occurs, it is an escalate to your manager, to the integrator, that this is happening. Like if you're back estimating, we got a problem. If you're correcting this estimator's estimates all the time, like we have a problem, you need to stop doing that. We need to fix that problem. Before they just go fix the problem. It's like,
because they want, like, oftentimes that person's used to being Superman. They
Yeah.
come in,
Hero
swoop in,
jobs.
save the day, and now they don't get to
Yeah.
have that. So running back and doing that is way easier than doing the hard thing.
which is training the person. On the
Training
gaps.
and training is a tough one because, like, it really, they have to be a teacher.
Yeah.
Right. And not everyone's a good teacher. Like the best basketball player doesn't necessarily become the best coach.
100%.
And you can build processes and structures to help people maybe fill some gaps within their skill set to teach. But the biggest thing for us is just calling out that, like, hey, this is a new skill set that you as a leader have to work on developing and understanding what that's going to look like in the future. I can help you do that, but you're going to have to commit to some of that yourself. And I believe for like growing organizations, expecting them to do that outside of just the hours they're working on, like that's their commitment to themselves, right? So we expect our leaders to be like growing and building themselves so that they can not just rely on the 40 hours a week that they're showing up, right? That isn't the type of culture that we have.
I'm guessing some of that though falls back into your hiring or interview process. You are looking for people that are trying to grow into like themselves, right? You're looking for people that are maybe not self-motivated, but self-motivated, self-driven to continue to grow and learn.
They want to be part, like they're coming in knowing that our company's growing and there's opportunity for them to move past the role that they're coming in at.
But even outside of that, somebody that's trying to grow intentionally outside of work, personally, spiritually, whatever it is outside of work, if they have those traits outside of work, they're probably naturally going to bring those traits to work.
Yeah.
So finding those people that are, highly motivated outside of work, things like that, people that are pursuing interest, growth, knowledge.
Like you got to learn stuff. If you're not learning stuff and it's just me trying to teach you something, but you're not learning it, anybody can sit there and say, yep, great. But that doesn't mean that they're taking in the information that you're putting into your training process and all that. So as far as like pulling the hug mode out of people, are there systems or little tweaks that you guys have made that have helped people fill some of those gaps?
Leading by example is one, as a leader, like actually having those vulnerabilities and sharing openly, and like in your one-to-ones with that leader, like sharing with them your journey through exactly what they're going through has helped a lot. Is almost all of our middle managers that are on our leadership team were a highly qualified and skilled technician at some point in their field, right? And it's a totally different skill set. And I managed them usually on their way up at some point. And it's like, hey, you see me now, but you didn't see what I did when you weren't around. You didn't see me reading all these books. You didn't see me going to Toastmasters. You didn't see me showing up on podcasts. You didn't see me
How much we worked on
rehearsing
ourselves,
stuff behind the scenes and like getting super vulnerable and like taking those risks. Because the one word I use a ton right now with my team is courage. Like you gotta, if it's scaring you, that's probably where you need to go. So like if you're having a conversation with a direct report and like there's a topic that's scaring you, get it out. Like go into it, lean into it, because like that's the thing. I guarantee you that's the thing that's broken or the thing that's the rub. And it's scary. Like they're terrified. And hug mode, I think, just sounds like it should be easy and it's just about sunshine and rainbows. Hug mode is actually like going to somebody where they're hurting, where they're mad at you, getting the truth from them.
Like turning
That's
the
really
Minnesota off, pretty much.
Turn the Minnesota off. People think hug mode, they think nice. What it actually is kind. And kindness is actually like honesty.
Truth,
and honesty is hard.
authenticity.
And it's accountability. It's all kinds of things. And, nice is different than kind. Nice is kind of a mask, kind of a smiles, like a church smiles, things like that. It's like, no, let's be kind. Let's actually tell them, hey, dude, this is your struggle. How do you feel about that? Where are you at? And boy, is that scary. super scary for them. Like they'll dance around it. And then if I sit in there and kind of coach them, I just kind of like push just a little bit first couple of times, and all of a sudden they're having a real conversation. It's magic.
I mean, I think we personally struggled with the Minnesota Nice. It's kind of this thing everybody talks about, but like I personally struggled with it, with issues with employees or staff or whatever it is, or even ownership between each other. We didn't want to have the uncomfortable conversations. So you would have these like comments or phrases or conversations where you kind of like hint at it, or you're just not, and that's one, that's toxic. Two, you kind of are like, well, yeah, I guess I told them what I thought about it, but you really didn't, right?
No,
so
they're so confused.
It's a self-ego thing, right? Like, well, yeah, I kind of covered it, but you personally didn't want to be uncomfortable or make somebody uncomfortable, so therefore you're not willing to be direct. And the best thing we've done recently is just be direct and honest, and it's allowed other people to be direct and honest back and have those difficult conversations. That honestly, it took us way too long. Personally, it took me way too long to be willing to do that. I'm willing to do it outside of work and other things. And personally, I'm very willing to have difficult conversations with myself, but I wasn't willing to have difficult conversations with other people and make them uncomfortable, which therefore made me uncomfortable. And that's really changed. And also, I'm not the person having some of those conversations now because I maybe wasn't the right. Chris, my business partner, really leads most of our people. He's very good at just being open and honest and communicate directly. And him and I have had that relationship for a long time where he could communicate to me. I didn't communicate back as well. So learning that and understanding, this goes all back to self-reflection like we were talking about earlier. It took a long time to understand personal weaknesses and strengths. And I this whole thing kind of full circle really comes back to you first, right? Like you as a person need a lot of deep dive and self-reflection, understanding you before you can expect those things out of other people and figure out how you communicate.
What do you say to that, Wes?
100%. I mean, yeah, it's about getting comfortable having those uncomfortable conversations. And once you start doing that, it's like you really start to unlock your potential and your team's potential. Tanner's grown a lot in this, over the past like 3 to 6 months. And that started with, we're at a quarterly meeting and we're all giving each other feedback of what we see and what we don't see in each other. And I looked at Tanner, I'm like, Tanner, you need to get better at having hard conversations with people. And he's like, I do. And he really leaned into that. And now he's been having a lot of these hard people conversations that we've been talking about. We have I feel very strongly that we have a lot of the right people within our organization. And then, it's Tanner's responsibility to ultimately make sure that they're in the right seats. And he's been really leaning into having those hard conversations. But then once you do it, it's like a weight coming off your shoulders.
The whole place
everybody loves
for everybody.
Yeah.
Like the whole stress level.
I don't get why it is as hard as it is. It's like as soon as you do it, it's fear.
It's just it's fear. So your point earlier about courage,
courage is huge.
Courage to be able to have that, it allows for trust because there's authentic communication within your team and nobody's tiptoeing around things, not the natural Minnesota way to talk about stuff. So teaching that and helping them identify scenarios where maybe they should have been more direct. That becomes our job to coach them so they can be better coaches. And I'm going through this whole process of trying to help my team improve as teachers and coaches so that they can do the same thing to their team members. How y'all do that?
I haven't figured that out yet.
Well, I love what you said earlier that you had engaged some third-party coaching and things like that, right? And I think sounds like everybody here is doing the work on culture and intentional hiring and all of these things, and you can get good people in the door, right? And if you're where I'm at, my last weakness is training, and especially training for my middle managers, which is kind of a train the trainer moment.
Yeah.
And I'm realizing with the new structure they've created now, I actually have a really unique opportunity where there's enough people in the same lanes where I can host me on 4, me on 10 classroom setting trainings where I can really download myself to them and all of this pain and all this learning and where they need to go. And then I think record it, either use Loom or use something else. And Dan Martell will call it the camcorder method, right? It's record the whole thing, save it, to the cloud or however you're using it. And then, give them some assignments and they can refer back to that recording. And just every single week, that's 52 meetings a year if you want to do it that way. Otherwise, you could do it every month. That's only 12. Just introduce a new topic. That's where I'm going with it. I would love to find somebody to do it for me. Don't get me wrong. Like if I could find an outside source, but I think I'd like to train my way, and I'd encourage them to find their coach. Like I think everybody should have a coach of some kind, wherever they are in your organization, or like a strong mentor. And that's their journey, in my opinion.
To find that mentor.
Yeah. Like I'm not going to find it for you. And I have a lot of people that ask me that, like, who would you recommend this coach for this thing or something? And I'll just ask them a lot of questions and be like, hey, here's a place you could go and look to find that. But they really want me just to give them a phone number and a guy's name. And I'm like, that's
because you
your
need
journey, man.
Different mentors at different stages of the game. And like, I've outgrown a few of my mentors already. Sure. And like, I still love them to death, and they've driven so much value in my life. But like, you got to be open that like, yeah, hey, you're going to work with someone for a while and they're going to mentor you and they're going to help you grow and really dig deep into yourself as an individual. And then you're going to, if they do a good job, that you're going to hit that point where it's like, you're not driving the value with me that we used to anymore.
Right.
So,
I mean, you're evolving depending on who that coach is and who their coach is, I guess, right? Or who their mentor is. You're going to pass the point of kind of, there's no ROI anymore.
I think uniquely too, like when you talk about a coach or a mentor, there's a little bit of a trap. Some people look for a coach by title, right? Some sort of title is that. A mentor, like sometimes you like put this person up on a pedestal. You're looking for this Gandhi type character that's going to mentor and grow you. But reality, like some of the greatest growth that we've had is the circle around you, right? Like how we've all met each other, things like that. But like I have called Wes many times and asked him questions about business that he's had great insight on. Having that,
and vice versa.
Yeah, I mean, having that circle. I mean, you talked about Tanner, right? Tanner's one of my friends too. Like Tanner's a rock star at Wes's company, and like Tanner just went on a trip with me. But having that circle or that network of friends, business owners, whatever it is, to just reach out to. My phone will ring 20 times today, and 10 of them will be other business people that I talk to. The other 10 will probably be other things. But those things or those people are critical to like the growth of your company, right? I personally spent way too much time, way too proud. I need to do this thing. Like I'm like, it's mine and I'm going to build it. It is the absolute wrong answer. Like once you find those people around you to consult with, Chris, my business partner, he has people that he meets with. Those aren't my people.
Yeah.
And then I have people I meet with and I talk to. Those aren't his people. And we've tried to encourage people inside of our organization, like on our leadership team, build your own circle and build your resources. And in today's world, right, we're sitting here, we're doing a podcast, right? The access to information, access to people is so easy compared to what it used to be. It used to be very hard to reach out. It was impossible. Like, who do I ask? Where do I find people? Yeah. And will they be responsive? And for a long time, supporting other businesses was like, you didn't do it. Like, it's probably the generation before us, but like there was a lot of like, at least that's the way it seemed, or at least that's the stereotypical idea of it.
I think that's valid.
And that's where
everyone's so competitive.
When you're not doing that, if you don't have that network of people, that's where it becomes really lonely at the top.
Dude, yeah.
You know?
And like now, like I'm 41 years old, right? So we'll call it middle age, but like in business, there's all these.
Speak for yourself, man.
But in business, there's all these, I'll call them like the 20-somethings coming up, and they're being really aggressive, and they're all utilizing and leveraging social media, different media platforms, and they're co-working, they're growing each other. And I think that's super unique compared to like when I started. And I would just highly encourage anybody to
build a community.
Yeah. Get on social media, reach out to people, talk to people. It's amazing how open people are to help. Because especially like, I mean, Mike, you're in a more mature business, but like, I guarantee you if somebody reached out to you, you're at a point in business now, I'm just going to assume, and knowing you as a person, you're happy to give back. That's part of your mission.
Yeah. I spend 10, 12 hours a week. I talked to a guy from Canada last week who flies helicopters into drill rigs, and he has to hire like 60 people this quarter. And I was like, this is amazing. And I was looking at his social media and all this stuff. And I was like, dude, like, where's the videos of your techs flying in on a helicopter while the sun's coming up?
Chuck a GoPro on.
And I'm like, let's go, dude. But same thing. He had a question about recruiting, and he saw one of my videos on social. But if anybody calls me, even a direct competitor that maybe I just lost a job to, I'll talk to them.
Yeah, and
Like,
one is
hands down.
self-fulfilling as the owner to be able to help somebody, but also it helps you learn because, you know, a teacher teaching helps the teacher learn,
Yeah.
right? So the best way to learn is by teaching. So it's a great like kind of full circle moment. But yeah, I would encourage everybody. Maybe you're not looking for a coach by definition, right? Or somebody that you have to pay or a mentor, but maybe you're just looking for a circle. You've got one or two, but maybe you want 3 or 4 different avenues. Maybe I know Matt, and Matt's really good at marketing, and Wes is really good at team, and Mike's really good at sales. And like those might be the people I would lean on, let's say, for those things. But I would encourage everybody to definitely build your circle.
It helps you like get outside of that silo of the thought process that you have within an organization. Those silos are good, so your teams can function within it. But sometimes outside perspective just helps you get to solution without the distractions and sometimes the emotions that can get in the way. All right, guys, we've already gone a little over. So one last topic. Let's talk about what hustle means to you guys within business and how that's evolved for you over time. Because hustle kind of gets a bad rap now.
Okay.
Like the hustle culture is getting paired with like burnout culture. But
Okay.
I just know all you guys are hustlers. Like you'd probably beat somebody up if they tried to stop you from getting up and going to work.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like I love just like getting after it. So like talk about what hustle means to you.
Wow. I mean, hustle to me is not a word I use a lot. I mean, like driven, sure. But to me, it's like if you're in an industry where you're not waking up every single day and like you would do this until the day you die, like happily for free kind of thing is where I tend to operate with Restoration. There's bad days and there's days where I'm totally burnt out. Burnout's a real thing, but I love what I do. And I love the opportunity that I get to shape young people and give them opportunity and career. And like, for me, hustle is about like, for me, what keeps me going is that it's bigger than me. Like I don't hustle for me. I hustle for my family. I hustle for the people on my team, and I hustle for the people who need our help. And like that just jazzes me up.
So hustle is really like a purpose.
It's more like a purpose. Yeah. It's like I really like to have an impact, and I have a career where I get to do that with the thing that creates revenue for me. Sweet. But even if that wasn't it, I would be trying to figure out how my company can be a mechanism for that in some other way. I mean,
Love that.
That's it.
Yeah, I think that a lot of people mistake like the hustle for making money. And I love when I see like young people out there hustling and making money. Like that is cool.
Yeah.
But that was it for me at one point. It is no longer about the money.
Right?
Yeah.
You know, like it's just about like we have this ship, we have this thing that we're doing. It's like, where can we go with this? How can everybody involved grow and become the best version of themselves and, you know, do what they love with people they love, make a big impact, being compensated accordingly and having time for other passions. But like, yeah, I don't wake up every day like doing this to like make money, but I still do hustle every day. You know, I wake up every day. I look at my list of things that I need to get done. I know by about 9 o'clock in the morning, there's gonna be about another dozen things I have to get done too. And it's all about like putting the blinders on, putting your nose to the grindstone, locking in and just pushing through to get that to-do list done every day. But it's I like people mistake like the hustle's about the money. I hustle for the love of the game, you know?
Yeah, baby.
You know, like you can't do it for the money. It's for the love of the game. It's a sport to me.
The money's
I'm not a
tool.
sports guy. I don't watch like hockey, football, whatever, but like
Business.
I play
the
business.
Game of business.
Yes.
for
I play that game too.
I play it for
Legit.
keeps,
It's a fun
you know, like
Yeah, like hustle to me, like it started right as you all do when you're small and you have nothing. Hustle is just the get shit done, right? And that's actually still one of our core values because I still believe in it. But it's evolved to the point of get shit done effectively. So it's not just work more or work harder; it's work smarter, faster, more efficient. Which there's a money tied to that, but there's also like I would say it's not money; it's a freedom of time. I don't need to go work 70 hours a week. What if I can do the exact same thing in 30? And now I have more time with my family, more time to do things that I want to do. I would say that's the hustle. To what Wes said, the game, like I think everybody in an entrepreneurial mindset, this is the game, right? This is the game that I want to play. Now it's a love and a hate, right? It's a game that you always get to play, it's a game you can't win, right? There's no end, right? You know, you don't pass go 200 times and all of a sudden the game is over. Like, you get to play this game for as long as you want to play it. And that's a blessing and a curse. But I think it's fun, and that's kind of what wakes me up each day. Like, I get this thing to chase. I am a competitive person. I like sports. It was individual sports. It's motorsports. It's racing. Like, I love the competitive thing. I play a lot of cards, so there's a hustle side to that. Like, but that's what I like to do. And now, like, this is my game I'm playing, and I'm trying to continue to build it.
Money's like a scoreboard. Early on.
It is. It's just a way of keeping score.
It's like a shallow way to look at it, and you get to the point where like it becomes about people and all the other stuff, and like what's the future? Like anyway.
That's where the
money,
mindset shifts, is when it's no longer about the money and it's about the team and the people and the mission.
Well, I think it's
the
the understanding of money, though. That money is no longer the score. Money is the tool. Money is a part of the game.
Perfect.
And the way you use that tool is how you win the game.
Yeah. Money was a score when it was like, if we don't do this, we're going to die.
Exactly.
Right. And someday that shifts, and then you start realizing, you kind of get introspective at that point when you're like, wow, I have money. Now what? You know, we made it through the year. We hit, like, that first time you make it through the year, you hit your goals and there's profit, and you're like, oh, wow. Like, okay,
sick.
Yeah.
I'm not going to die.
Once your bills are paid and your basic needs are met,
now it's
the rest is just extra, right? So now it's a tool to do whatever it is that motivates you and your team.
And then, you know, the greedy folks maybe scale and sail. I don't want to say that like too negatively. Like, that's a cool business model and whatnot. But like, I think the rest of us are in it for a higher purpose, in a way of just like build the people. Yep. It's really fun to build the people.
Yeah, I love it. We got to wrap here, guys. We should do this again, though. Thank you all for coming on. Anything you want to throw in here at the end? Any little pearls you might have? You got a smirk on your face.
No, I have no pearls.
In it for the game. The love of the game.
For the love of the game.
Love of the game. I like that.
Thank you guys for coming on the Homegrown Hustle. If you guys got value out of this, please subscribe or like this. That helps us out a lot. Go ahead and check these guys out. Reach out to them if you got questions, but appreciate the conversation. This one was a killer. Until next time, everybody, keep hustling. Hey, thanks for tuning into the Homegrown Hustle. It's been an honor to share the stories of local legends who make our community thrive. Don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review. Please stay tuned for more insight and inspiration. We got a lot of heat in the chamber. This is Matthew Eickman saying peace out until next time. Get hustling.